After a few days had passed, we'd received an unexpected visitor in the evening.
よう、しばらくぶりだな。
Ah, he's here. Hijikata-san! You're safe!
掃除のやつはどうしてる？具合が良くねえって聞いたが。
He's resting for now, but would you like me to wake him?
いやいい。あいつは俺の顔なんざ見たくもねえだろうしな。
I have this sinking feeling that yes, that is the answer. What do you...
今日来たのは他でもねえんだ。今の江戸の状況はお前もよく知ってると思うが、お前この先どうするつもりだ？新政府のやつらは俺たちを恨んでる。これ以上関わり続けるとどんな目に遭わされるかわからねえぜ。
I'm going to remain beside Okita. I'm going to remain by Okita's side. I just wouldn't feel right leaving Okita in his current state.
そうか。ありがとうよ。礼を言っとくぜ。俺たちはもうあいつと一緒にはいてやれねえからな。それじゃあ俺はもう行く。掃除のやつによろしくな。
Wait, let me walk you out. I rushed to follow Hijikata-san, who had already turned around to head for the door. No. Can I, ask you something?
ん？なんだ？
Is it true that the Imperial Army captured Kondo-san? Hijikata-san's eyes thinned, and he was reluctant to speak. So, it's true. What happened?
流山に隠れてた時、敵に囲まれてな。俺たちを逃がすため、自分から新政府軍に投降したんだ。偽名を使うから敵に気づかれることはねえだろうって言ってたが。
It took a lot for Hijikata to tell me all of this. From the tone of his voice, he seemed resigned that there was a slim chance of Kondo-san's returning safely.
掃除のことだから、どうせ俺が近藤さんを見捨てて自分だけ逃げたとでも思ってやがるんだ。
No, what would give you that idea? Well, I will speak with Okita.
いや、やめとけ。あいつには何も言わねえ方がいい。
But why?
状況がどうあれ、近藤さんを見捨てたってのは嘘じゃねえからな。八つ当たり先がなくなっちまったら、あいつ本当に生きる気力をなくしちまうだろう。
But I wasn't content with Hijikata-san's answer, but he merely sighed again. He turned his gaze towards the dim sky.
この場であいつにぶった切られて、何もかも終わりにしちまえるんなら楽なんだがな。
Jesus. I gasped. Between Kondo-san's surrender and the possibility of Okita losing the will to live, it seemed Hijikata-san was shouldering the weight of that burden, which was draining him as well. After a moment of silence, Hijikata gritted his teeth, stopping himself from expressing his thoughts.
俺たちはこれから北へ向かう。死ぬんじゃねえぞ、雪村。
Hijikata-san nodded, and without another word, he walked away from our abode. Once he walked far enough that I couldn't see the small of his back, I returned inside. As I made my way back to the entrance, I noticed someone standing in the hall waiting for me.
今、外で人と話してたでしょ？誰が来てたの？
Ah,
当ててあげようか。土方さん。やっぱりそうだったんだ。あの人、何しに来たの？近藤さんを見捨てた言い訳でもしに来たのかな。
no, Hijikata-san.
どうしてあんな人の肩を持つのさ。事情があったにせよ、近藤さんを助けずに自分だけ逃げたのは変わらないじゃない。近藤さんは今も土方さんが助けに来てくれるって信じてるはずなのに。
Okita dropped to his knees, coughing violently, enough that I was afraid his lungs would burst out of his chest. Okita. Please, don't lose sight of yourself. Be strong. I sat helplessly beside him, and when words weren't enough, I hugged his body tightly. Ah. The month of April breezed by, bringing and taking it with the gentle the winds of spring. Okita's condition stabilized, and he was strong enough to use his sword. We decided to leave the city of Edo in the dead of night, avoiding the watchful gaze of the Imperial Army. Just as we approached the outskirts of Edo, Okita sensed something was off, and he stopped dead in his tracks.
千鶴ちゃん、僕の後ろに。
I sauntered slowly behind his back, just as he commanded me. The outline of two shadows became slightly visible, and they began to walk towards us eerily. It was...
まさか貴様らがまだ江戸にいたとはな。
風間千景。
新選組の連中はすでに会津へ向かっていると聞いていたが、奴らに見捨てられたか。
さあ、どうだろうね。そこどいてくれる？今はあんたたちの相手をしてる暇なんてないんだから。
Okita tried to budge his way between the two demons.
新政府軍に囚われの身となっている新選組局長を救出しに行くつもりですか？
Amagiri's question only irritated Okita.
だとしたら、もし邪魔するって言うんなら、あんたたちも殺すよ。
今から言ったところで無駄だ。近藤勇は今日の夕刻、斬首に処せられたからな。
My heart stopped at this one, oh god. Okita froze in place. I couldn't believe it. Kondo-san, our beloved friend and leader, was executed.
嘘だ。
こんなくだらぬ嘘をついてどうする。かの者の首は今日に持ち去られ、三条河原にさらされる手はずとなっている。
嘘だ。信じるもんか。近藤さんが死んだなんて。
The next moment, Okita's hair turned white. He wore a demon-like expression, seething with hatred, and he drew his sword. Okita! My words, however, fell on his deaf ears. Okita lunged his blade angrily towards Kazuma.
愚かな。
Kazuma kept his composure as he dodged effortlessly from the path of Okita's attack. Okita, however, was unfazed, flailing his blade madly in the direction of Kazuma. Okita, you can't! I tried to rush closer to him when Amagiri stopped me by yanking on my shoulders.
それ以上近づかぬ方がいい。巻き込まれて怪我をしないとも限りません。
Let go of me! You can't just let Okita! Okita and Kazuma were locked in a battle to the death.
以前池田屋で相まみえた時は人間にしてはまあまあの腕だと思っていたのだが
Ikeda Inn, and then raided by Shinsengumi troops in Kyoto to hold a plot to kidnap the emperor and burn the city of Kyoto to ashes.
落ちぶれたものだな。冷静さを欠いた者が勝利するなどありえん。
Okita was struggling to catch his breath as he continued to thrash wildly, hoping to land a hit on Kazuma. Unfortunately, Okita's skill proved insufficient. It was clear, as Kazuma had boasted, that Okita's condition slowed his technique, giving Kazuma a very clear advantage. Normally, there wasn't a noticeable difference in their skill level, but just then, Okita's sword was smacked out of his hand, and it clung to the ground.
哀れなものだな。落ち水を飲み、まがいものの鬼となり果てて手に入れた力がその程度か。まがいものを始末するのも鬼の役目だ。己の浅はかさを悔いて死ね。
Kazuma sneered with palpable contempt as he looked down on Okita. He lifted his sword high into the air, ready to cleave into Okita and tear him asunder. No! I swatted Amagiri's arms with all of my strength. I desperately ran towards Okita, using every bit of energy that my legs could muster. However, something happened that I never expected. I couldn't tell if it was divine intervention or perhaps an inner force manifesting inside of me that was provoked under the weight of all of this stress. Holy shit, are we actually? But I felt a power emanating from within, and then I unsheathed my sword and I lunged to block the path of Okita. Oh my god, my brain. I unsheathed my sword and I lunged to block the path of Kazuma's sword as it nearly landed on Okita.
Chizuru-chan?
Okita couldn't believe what he was seeing. To be quite honest, neither could I, and he stared in awe. Kazuma, too, was vexed, and his surprise became agitation as he realized I thwarted him.
貴様、なぜその姿に
Huh? I had no idea what he could have meant by that, leaving me no response.
貴様は真の姿になる術など知らぬはずだ。なのにその姿になっているということは、もしや落ち水を飲んだのか。
I gasped. I hadn't noticed a difference, but did that mean I looked like a fury just now? Eventually, Kazuma sheathed his sword and he scoffed.
行け。
Huh?
まがいものの鬼になり果てた女など俺の妻にはそぐわぬ。
That was all it took.
その醜いまがいものと共にのたれ死ぬがいい。
So in other words, had that meant that Kazuma was no longer obsessed with me? Meaning other demons would cease to pursue me?
人間同士の戦もじきに終わるでしょう。新政府軍は幕府軍の残党を見逃すつもりはありません。東北諸藩は抵抗を続けるようですが、戦いの結末は明らかです。
我々はもう薩摩藩への義理を果たした。こうして貴様らの前に姿を現すことももうあるまい。
With that, Kazuma turned his back, dismissing me with a plumb. A plumb? That's a weird word. He said nothing more as he sauntered away. A great feeling of relief came over me as the fury powers subsided. I was certain that we would be facing our deaths, and yet somehow we managed to survive. Okita looked utterly drained, on the other hand, as if his spirit was ripped from his body. Okita? I timidly called out his name.
嘘だよね。
His voice quivered.
絶対嘘だよ。あいつら僕を騙してるんだ。だってありえないじゃないか。近藤さんは今日にいる間ずっと幕府や将軍校、今日の人たちのために働いてたのに、罪人として殺された挙句首をさらされるなんてあるはずないよ。
Okita was hoping it was all a cruel farce, desperately clinging to the hope that Kazuma was lying. And behind his quivering voice were tears waiting to flood his glossy eyes. The truth was difficult to accept, and Okita wasn't equipped to handle what all of it meant. Okita. What could I say? I could only repeat his name. His gaze was fixed on the floor, and he quickly grabbed a hold of me.
嘘だ！嘘だ！嘘だ！
Okita buried his face into my lap as he sobbed frantically. The realization that he lost the closest thing he had to a father was sinking in, and his cries of mourning tore me apart.
どうして近藤さんが死ななきゃならないの？あんなに強くて優しくて誰よりも幕府のことを考えてた人なのに、僕近藤さんにあんなに優しくしてもらったのに、全然恩返しをしてないのに、それなのにどうしてこんなに早く死んじゃうんだよ。
I could hardly hear him towards the end of his lamentation, as his voice became muffled in my lap. There was nothing I could say. All I could do was comfort him in this fragile state, holding him and contemplating what to come. How long we sat there embracing one another in grief. I noticed that towards the east, the sky was filled with cloud patterns, a foreboding sign, to say the least. Are you doing all right? I broke the silence, and Okita looked up at me with puffy, sheepish eyes.
後追い自殺でもするんじゃないかと思ってる。平気だよ。そんなことはしない。そうしたいのは山々だけどね。
He tried to play it off as a joke, but I knew that there was a hint of truth embedded in his joke. Okita, what do we do now? For a moment, Okita stroked his chin in thought. He glanced up towards the expanse of the sky.
新選組を 土方さんを追いかける。
What? His answer took me by complete surprise. What do you plan on doing? Once you reach Hijikata-san, I mean... I was suddenly thrust back into the memory of when Kondo-san had been shot in the shoulder, and all of his... and all of us were gravely concerned. I remembered what Okita had said back then. If anything were to threaten Kondo-san's life, Okita would hold Hijikata-san responsible and kill him. Was Okita planning on keeping that promise? Okita, I think I know what you're planning, but what happened today wasn't Hijikata-san's doing. You know that. I'm sure Hijikata-san had no desire to let Kondo-san be executed. So please.
知ってるよ。それぐらい。
Okita sought to dismiss my concerns immediately. It was, to me, a tone foreign to Okita. It was one that was completely different to the aggressive, vengeful mood when Kondo-san was first wounded, or even when Kazuma revealed his death. I got the sense that it was indifference that guided him now, and his calmness was a coping method.
だけど、このままじゃ踏ん切りがつかない。今のままだと、戦うどころか、前に進むことすらできそうにないんだ。
I was afraid he would soon let his anger consume him once more, and that he'd seek to kill Hijikata-san after that. Then, I'll go with you.
君も一族の里に行かなきゃならないんじゃないの？
That can wait. I don't feel comfortable leaving you alone right now. Okita stared blankly at me for a moment. But eventually...
わかった。それじゃあ、一緒に行こうか。
He clasped my hand, and together we rose. There are tears in my eyes. God, oh God. Alright, as we enter chapter 3, I have to say we are done for today. Tomorrow, we could go for longer.